Welcome, one and all, to the In Good Kompany podcast. On behalf of Manchester TV channel, we've got a couple of our usual guys here today. We've got a special guest as well, but we'll speak to the old reprobates first that are always with us. Paul, how are you doing, mate? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Enjoyed my day yesterday. We had a bit of a Christmas footing yesterday, so funnily enough, it was a bit worse for the wear this morning. But we're all good now. We're all good.
That's not like you, Paul, is it, mate? You know.
I know.
Stuart, mate, how are you doing, Stuart?
Yes, mate, I'm all right. Good result yesterday, and I wasn't drinking yesterday. I was on my best behaviour because I was out yesterday evening after the game, so couldn't get hammered during the match. I had to just behave myself for a change. So might remember a bit more this week.
And we have a special guest today. Many people watching this will probably know this gentleman. We have a certain Colin Savage. Colin, how are you doing, mate?
Well, I'm good. I didn't get hammered during the match, but when I went shopping afterwards, they had the Welsh Penderyn whiskey. I think it was about 13 quid off at Tesco, so I took into a bottle of that last night.
Well, other supermarkets are available for anyone out there. Yeah. So there you go. Right, guys, let's get on a busy show today.
You can see how City's turned us all to drink, though. You've got varied age groups here, and we're all talking about alcohol and stuff. So yeah, you can see that. That'll be a lesson to the younger fans.
Yeah, I'm sure they won't learn, mate. I'm sure they'll pay no attention to us, Paul. Let's be honest about it. Right, guys, let's have a talk of Manchester City 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, and John Moss. I won't give him a score just yet. We'll sort of talk about that later. Interesting teams, certainly interesting for me. I'll just run through the two teams first. Wolves team, Sarr, Kilman, Cody, Saiss, I think you pronounce that, or Saiss, Semedo, Neves, Dendoncker, 8, Nuri, Adama, Jimenez and Martino. And of course the City team, and I'll come to you first Stuart, with the City team, with your little thoughts on it. Ederson, Cancelo, Diaz, Laporte, Zinchenko, Rodri, Gundogan, Bernardo, Jesus, Sterling and Grealish. So Mr. Walker was on the naughty step, Stuart. Let's be honest about it. What do you think, mate, of that team?
It's all right. The team's all right. I would have preferred to have seen Walker instead of Zinchenko and Stones instead of Laporte, but that's the only gripe for the team. Or my lad did say, I bet he's in trouble because he got sent off the other night. Walker, Pep will be mad at him and put him on the bench. But I don't know. Maybe he's just rested him because there wasn't much attacking going on from Wolves, was there? So.
Yeah, Colin, it was interesting, wasn't it? Looking at that Wolves team, we know they've got a reputation, Col, for being a bit defensive, let's say. I mean, Klopp, they were really upset Klopp last week, didn't they, with the play against them? But what do you think of the Wolves and the City teams, Col?
Well, that Wolves team is a better team than the way they play. It should be. They did quite well last season. And you look at the goals against, column. You think back to our Stuart Pearce season, 2006-07. And I think we scored 29 goals in 38 games. So that's just over 3/4 of a goal a game. Now Wolves have scored 12 in 16, which is 3/4 of a goal a game. So they're doing in terms of goals scored, they're the same as us under Stuart Pearce in that last season. And you think that Wolves team is a better team than that, with better players than that. So it's a bit disappointing, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, we'll come to you. I think Cole's hit the nail on the head there. It's a weird team, and obviously under Nunes, they were quite expansive, weren't they? They could sort of attack teams and do various things, and they just seem this under the new manager now, Mr. Lage, that's how you pronounce it. I'm not too sure. What do you think, Col? I mean, obviously, did you expect that sort of game from Wolves yesterday, that sort of lineup? Do you think I think they played a 5-3-2 when we started the game, obviously, but it did change because of circumstances. But what did you think, Paul?
Yeah, I'm so disappointed. It was unbelievable. They were so negative. I think that was probably a team that's come to City that was the most negative anti-footballing team I've ever seen play there, to be honest. And that includes ourselves when we had Stuart Pearce in charge. So I just think they've lost the way, haven't they? They've got some fantastic attacking players. And Traore, I mean, if he could actually get some consistency, he could be lethal, that guy. But yesterday, he did nothing. He did nothing. It was terrible, really. If I had to watch that every week as a Wolves fan, I'd be burning my season ticket, I think.
Made Burnley look like Barcelona, didn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Stuart, we'll come back to you now. Just having a look at the first half highlights. They were most of them were non-footballing, I think, to be honest with you. There's quite a few little highlights down that right-hand side. City were playing okay. But I did notice Mr. Moss, Stuart, when the game kicked off, he seemed to be letting a lot of things go. He didn't sort of let, pull up anything. He certainly changed as the game progressed. But, I mean, there was lumbering into Sterling, and Jesus was getting sort of physical, getting attacked literally by Wolves players. I mean, what was Moss doing? I mean, were you happy with that? Were you thinking, we'll get a good game here with Mr. Moss because he's letting things flow? What were your initial impressions?
I think he seemed to let things flow while they were just happening to City players. I think as soon as he started getting a bit niggly back, he was straight on the whistle and stopping it. And then there was all the time wasting from minute one, which is just the most annoying thing ever. And that, like I said, that Traore, he was just, I think that was the first half where he just ran through Silva on the touchline and nearly knocked him into the second turn, didn't he? And then the ref was like, yeah, it's fair. The linesman stood right in front of it. It's like, no foul. He's like, I'm not sure you can not give a foul for that.
Well, Col, I mean, it was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, as I said, we mentioned Traore there, and obviously he's a bit of I think he scored almost half of his goals against City. I think I read a couple of days ago in the Premier League. So we do seem to be a bit scared of him. There's a great thing on social media where he was like a giant on the screen. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, where he was running around attacking everyone. I thought that was great, Col. But, I mean, we had Traore to cope with there. But obviously the other guys, Col, we'd a bit... did you expect that from Wolves, that physicality and the fact John Moss? I mean, we certainly probably expected John Moss to ignore it, but did you expect that from that sort of team?
Yeah, I guess yes, to a degree. And we were chatting about this at the game yesterday, and Matt, who sits next to me, said teams will get away with what the referee allows them to get away with. And yeah, I'm not against referees letting the game flow. But when it's blatant fouls, they should be blowing up. And Moss created a problem for himself because he then had to start cracking down later in the game. And the yellow cards came out. I think there was, 6, 7 yellows, if you include the 2 to Jimenez. And the yellow cards he gave were no worse than some of the fouls he and the assistant ignored. And you think back to that early one on Sterling, and it's right in front of the assistant. You can only imagine Moss has said to his assistant, let it go. The first few minutes, we're not going to crack down on it, let it go. And, there's an issue, isn't there, about refereeing standards. We've seen it this weekend, we've seen it before. Referees are not applying the laws consistently. You don't want them blowing up for every single tackle or potential foul. You want to see the game flow a bit, but you want some consistency. You want there's a bar to be set on where you let things flow, and Moss just completely lost. But by doing that, by letting things flow, or letting people get away with things that you shouldn't be letting them get away with, that sets the pattern for the game, and it just carry on. As we said, players will do what they're allowed to do. It will carry on, and then he has to start getting the cards out.
Yeah, Paul, I'll come to you. I mean, let's just talk a little bit about what did happen on the pitch. I thought City were playing quite well down the right-hand side that first half. A lot of little moves, obviously Cancelo, Sterling, Bernardo was coming over. And we had some half chances, Paul, but there's nothing really that you thought, that should have been a goal, wasn't there, mate, in that first half?
To be honest, no. I mean, the first half was pretty much of a non-entity, really. I mean, there wasn't a great deal going on. You can tell how poor the game is when I can remember more giving the away opposition fans a bit of banter than you can actually remember about the game. So I mean, I said first half was how weird the Wolves fans were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I say, I think Bernardo had one of those where he jinked him and you thought he'd nestle it in the top corner like he did the other week, but unfortunately it went about 2 yards over the bar. I think Sterling had a couple where there's one that was dinked through from Cancelo, I think, and you think he'd get a toe to it, but he just literally ran to the keeper and Sterling couldn't get anything on it. But that's when he wasn't being fouled or falling over, which tended to happen yesterday. But let's get to the crux of that first half, which will have an effect of course, on the second half. And obviously, we're going to talk sending off. We're going to have to talk Mr. Moss again. In my mind, totally justified, Stuart. The lad was an idiot. What were your thoughts about it?
Same, mate. It's just to get booked and then to just do something which you know is going to get you booked straight away after it. It's just like, why would you even do it? And then at the end, as he's going off, the Wolves fans are cheering him. I would be absolutely fuming if a City player had done that and got himself sent off, especially like Wolves are set there. You want a 0-0 or nick a 1-0 win. So the guys just made it 10 times harder for him by getting sent off. And they're like giving him a standing ovation, which is like, well, just as them weirdos.
Colin, there's nothing as weird as fans, is there? We support our clubs and we do some silly things. But I would totally agree. I would have been absolutely so annoyed with Jimenez, Colin, for that, what he did. It was just needless and stupid. I mean, there's a question on whether it should have been a yellow card, but it had to be because Moss had committed himself. I think you mentioned before about him having to, once he's done these things, he's committed himself to making these bookings. So, I mean, Colin, any other thoughts on what we've said?
Yeah, well, there was some talk in the Wolves camp about the first booking was harsh, but he's grabbed Rodri. If you grab a player, you're going to go in the book. And then he tried to trip him. And I say Moss had set the tone anyway. So having booked him, and I think he wasn't even clear he'd been booked at first. He looked very surprised. But then, as you say, to do what he did was, and you could see what was going to happen because we see players stop a quick free kick being taken, but he wasn't moving back. One of the things that's irked me actually this season mainly is that referees aren't enforcing the 10-yard rule, and you see players stood 5-6 yards away from a free kick, and the referees aren't doing anything about it. And actually, it was probably one of the things that Moss got right yesterday to book Jimenez, and then whether you think your first booking was soft or not, you've incurred a second book, and like. Again, it's a deliberate booking, isn't it? You know you're going to get booked for that. You should know as a professional you're going to get booked for that. And it doesn't matter whether your first one was you think your first one was a yellow. It's like picking the ball up in the middle of a game. You're going to get booked for that. It's blocking a free kick. You're going to get booked for that. And if I was his manager, I'd have gone onto the field, grabbed him off by his bloody ear, and kicked his arse all the way to the dressing room.
Yeah, well, obviously there's a bit of petulance, wasn't there, Paul, from Mr. Jimenez. I think he threw his headband down, then he picked it up, then he threw it down again. I mean, what pathetic, mate, wasn't it?
I was just amazed, mate. I mean, it was like that was a highlight of the Wolves fan seasons. Was this? I think they took the pantomime season to heart yesterday. As I say, I read reports and stuff on Twitter this morning, and there was people that should know better were saying that it shouldn't have really been a yellow card, the first one, and the second one. It's like, no, it should. It doesn't matter whether it's the first minute of the game or the last minute of the game. A penalty is a penalty. A free kick's a free kick. If the rules are broken, which they were, then it's a free kick. It's a yellow card. And then there was two decisions he got right yesterday, Moss, which that they actually went for City. One was that incident, and the other was the penalty. The rest of it was a joke.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in a minute. Obviously, second half, it was going to be a case of, we call it attacking defence, but when City are playing, we call it midfield versus defence, don't we? Because we don't have an attack as such. So we knew it was going to be a case of that for the second half. Someone said they came out and played 5-3-1 Wolves, obviously the ultimate. I said they just played 10. I don't think they played 5-3-1 till near the end, but there you go. So, Stuart, we'll just come to you onto this one. I mean, it was one-way traffic, mate, wasn't it? I mean, that's that second half. And we'll talk. I think it was about 60-odd minutes in, but we will talk about this penalty that Paul's just mentioned there. My opinion was, again, a bit naive having his arm. If you're going to have your arm up, there's a possibility you're going to get a penalty. I mean, what's all this? You're supposed to put your arm behind your back and stand like this, aren't you? But obviously, was it a right decision by Mr. Moss again, as Paul intimated? Stuart, what do you think about that?
I'm at the other end of the ground, so I'm in the south stand, and it's obviously starts at the family stand end. But from where we were, it looked like his arm was out in an unnatural position, and they say it's outside of his silhouette, and it's hit him. I have read that it hit him in the armpit or something, but I mean, if you can be offside with a toenail, then if it hits your arm, it's handball. And especially if your arm's out or up, you like you say, you're running the risk, aren't you? Every time your arms are away from your side, you're running that risk that you're gonna get a penalty against you. And it was a shame for Wolves, really, because I thought, like you say, with the 10 defenders, they'd done all right, and it didn't look like we were going to score until that point, really.
Yeah, I'll come to you, Colin. I mean, obviously, I saw a match of the day last night. I watched the replays of it, and there was one angle that probably showed it did it his ribs more than his arm, but the other 3 angles showed that it his arm to me, to be honest with you. So it certainly wasn't conclusive. But once the refs made that decision, Colin, it's very rare it's going to be overturned. Well, against City, you never know, but it's very rare it's going to be overturned, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a case of the referee made his decision and VAR. We had our friend Andre Mariner on VAR apparently, but was it a serious error? Was it a clear and obvious error? No, it wasn't. And you can say it's a shame for Wolves that they had defended well, although whether that made it a good game of football, I don't know. But I suspect strictly by the rules of VAR, he hadn't made a clear and obvious error. Now, actually, I want to go back to the first half, because there was one in the first half, right at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, go on, you carry on, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm down in 109, on the kind of the aisle between 109 and 110. The ball came across, and it was Coleman Kleiman had his arms behind his back, but he leant in to the ball coming in, and he hit it with his shoulder, he hit it with his arm. And to me, that was a blatant penalty, and just ignored. And that was a clear and obvious error.
Yeah, I think, Paul, as Colin was saying there, I was going to sort of mention that in the basis of other fans have been whinging all day on social media about us getting that penalty, and all the comments have been coming back. Well, what about the one in the first half, which is what Colin's just been talking about? And to me, I was in the south stand. It looked a blatant lead in, as though he lent into it. Match of the day can, totally back that up. He did deliberately lean into it and get a bit. I remember back, it was slightly different to the old Tottenham game in the Champions League where that forward leaned in with his arm and it went in off his arm, and obviously the goal stood, stuff like that. But I mean, Paul, based on that, I mean, obviously they've got out to crow about, have they, mate? Really?
No, to be honest, if that's the highlight of your game, is the fact that you've got to moan about decisions that were made that lost you the game. The fact that the 11/9, 10 players on the pitch sort of ruined the game, it's got nothing to do with. From our point of view, John Moss ruined it. But also, let's take that away, take Moss away out of it. Wolves ruined the game. As a spectacle, as a paying fan, that yesterday was just it was a non-entity. And the best thing I can say is, we got the 3 points, and that was it. Because as a football match, that spectacle was gone because the opposition just came to. I don't even think they came to get a draw. I just think they came just to depress City fans, I think.
Right, well, Stuart, interestingly enough, I mean, my heart sank just a little bit. I was looking at who was on the pitch. I was thinking, who's going to take this? I saw Edison run over to the dugout to ask if he could take it, probably. I was hoping he might have been asking that anyway. But obviously, and I think my lad was next to me, said, Sterling's taking it. He picked the ball up. And obviously, we're still waiting for the VAR conclusion at that point. So I was half thinking it's going to be cancelled or put, or not given anyway, Stuart. But obviously Sterling was given the job of doing it. He's missed his last 3, I think, in competitive games, from what I can remember. So what were your thoughts, Stuart, when he stepped up? Were they as bad as mine?
Never in doubt. I just turned it back on the pitch. I was like, Sterling, the guy's got 99 Premier League goals. Is
that your nose going there, Stuart?
Yeah, I was well pleased for him because obviously he seems to get stuck on 97 Premier League goals for ages, and then he's got the last 3.
I think you make a valid point, Stuart. Yeah, never in doubt. Colin, I mean, obviously he didn't really put it very wide of the keeper, did he, mate? It's fortunate that the old keeper.
Well, if that keeper had kept his feet, kept his feet still, it would have rolled into his hand. I remember David Silva taking one against Southampton, and he just rolled it into the keeper's hands. That's the only way you can describe it. And that might have been a bit the same, but when the keeper dives, it looks a great penalty, doesn't it? And I think there was a lot of nervousness around the stadium when we saw Sterling standing there. But I mean, credit to the guy. He's come through a really bad spell. I thought he played well yesterday.
Yeah.
I've been one of his biggest critics. I'll admit it, but he's played well yesterday, and I'll give him that. And to have the nerve, obviously it was. You think back logically, it was always going to be him who took it because of the 100 goals to get his 100 goals, and you want to do that at home in front of your home fans, don't you? And, credit to him. It was a cheeky penalty, but it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, he had the guts, didn't he, the guys, to actually step up and take it, which is absolutely fantastic. Paul, just interesting enough, we should have put this. I mean, at 1-0, there's always a chance, isn't there, mate? We always know there's always a chance at 1-0 things can go awry. And Grealish had a cracking chance, but I'm not going to pick. Everyone seems to be picking on Grealish these days. But what the hell was he doing when that ball came to the back post? I mean, surely he should have put that in the old onion bag.
Yeah, I watched it again on I think it was Man City's highlights programme with Alistair Mann this morning, and he said he was put off by Jesus in his way or something. But if he'd have just slid in, he tried to make more contact than was needed, really. If he'd have just slid in and put his foot out, he'd have scored that. And again, that's just them fine margins that as a professional football you go by. And, he's having a bit of a torrid time at the moment, I think, Grealish. So, I mean, fortunately, we didn't need that goal to get the points, but I think there might have been a lot more made of that miss, to be honest, because it was a very clear-cut opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart, I think it was into injury time when obviously Wolves decided to stop, go from that 10 to back to a 5-3-1 or something like that, and obviously. From me, I was in the south stand, I think, like you, and from my angle, I thought it was in the net, and it didn't look as good on TV, I must admit, when I watched it back, Stuart. But thankfully, Mr. Ederson didn't have much to do, but he sort of managed to tip it over when because Paul Zinchenko, he was the guy must have been about 7 foot tall. Zinchenko looked about 4'2" against him at the back, and even before the ball come in, I thought, what's Zinchenko marking him? I mean, we could be in trouble here, obviously. But what do you think? What do you think, Stuart? I was relieved, I must admit, because I thought it was a goal.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, but it's a good save from Ederson though. When he did to get it over, I thought because I like Ederson, but I don't think he gets in many teams on his goalkeeping ability. I think he gets in City's team because he fits the system really well. And he plays that certain way, but I think if most teams would have perhaps like Kasper Schmeichel or something. But going back to Grealish, he was unlucky one with it, but it was quite Sterling-esque against Leon. One of the ways he's put it over from so close out. But he's getting in the right places, Grealish. So he's getting in the right places. The goals will come hopefully. But that save from Ederson really was the only one he had to make the whole game, but he did it well.
Yeah, I mean, Colin, as I said, it wasn't didn't look as good on Match of the Day. It looked quite simple, but I thought it was a better save than it looked on Match of the Day. But we still had a corner to put up with, didn't we, Colin? That one sort of fortunately sort of looped in the air, and he managed to snatch it up, Colin. But a deserved 26 shots, Colin. Just look at the stats. Sorry, 24 shots, 10 on target. I think Sarr played okay, did a couple of good saves. 72% possession, 91% pass accuracy. So we, despite only one goal, that was a penalty out of 24 shots, Cole, we did deserve that overall, despite what other fans are saying. Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely deserve it. Yeah, I mean, you can look at that in two ways. You can say you deserve what you get. Wolves have come away with a 1-0 smash and grab. They've deserved it because they've got it. And I think as you say, that Sarr had a good game. There was that kind of coded clearance off the line. There's a few blocks they got in the way, and but I think you said before we didn't look like scoring. But I was saying that there's games we play where we really don't look like scoring. And yesterday, I thought we always looked like scoring. We just didn't get the break. I know Grealish missed that one. The goalkeeper made a save. Cody heads off the line. I was always confident we'd get a goal, but obviously we didn't get a goal from open play. We got it from a penalty, but. The pressure in that second half, they're down to 10 men. I think they only came in our half twice in that second half that I remember. Once was when they managed to clear the ball upfield about halfway through the half, and then, of course, right at the end. But, it was, we got the 3 points. We deserve them, but sometimes you don't get what you deserve, do you?
Yeah, there you go. Was there any, before we move on from the Wolves, anything any of you guys have spotted we've not talked about in that Wolves game? Anything specific, Col? Anything that we might have missed that you think?
Well, it's an old chestnut, isn't it? But time wasting.
Yeah.
And it was obvious that they were going to waste time from the first moment onwards. And there's a couple of things. There was one moment where I think it was in the first half where the ball had gone out for a goal kick. You saw Cody signal to the goalie to slow it down. I'd booked him for that, to be honest. It's unsportsmanlike conduct. But my view is that referees, this is what should happen. A referee, okay, give a team a couple of chances. If they start time wasting from minute one, give them a warning. If they carry on, give them a second warning. For a third time, give a penalty. Because time wasting is to hold on to
what to take, mind you, they're against us. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
But how many times do we see it that we saw
I
Moss,
agree with that, Colin.
Yeah, we saw Moss talk to Cody about it. The card still doesn't come out, and I'd be and again, what's a card? When you wasted 30 seconds.
It's all to do with the inconsistencies, guys, isn't it? These referees, one referee to another. But I think that one big inconsistency is Colin there. It's a bugbear with me as well. Time wasting, I hate it, especially at this level. I think it's terrible. But anything for you, Stuart? We perhaps didn't touch on.
No, just that I think there was a Sterling penalty shout in the first half that we didn't touch.
Yeah, he got a bit mixed up. It's a bit Salarish, that, wasn't it? I mean, Salah would have got that, and I think he did. In their game, but obviously Sterling's not going to get that, is he? And it's a similar sort of coming together of legs, wasn't it? Unfortunately, yeah, I agree with you on that.
And then just the time wasted because he had that one where that guy was down. That seems to be down for ages, and he was trying to
Yeah, that's one where he got a finger in his eye.
And elbowed him in the face or something.
I think he got shot by a sniper by the way he went down, but obviously that was supposed to be the reason. But hey, these big guys, Paul, anything for you, Paul, we're not touched upon?
Yeah, I'd like a bit of a mention for Zinchenko, to be honest. I thought he had a pretty steady game yesterday. I know there was that incident where they nearly scored from it, but that it can hardly be his fault for the size of the guy. But I thought he had a good steady game and came into there and played pretty solid and played pretty composed. So yeah, he don't often get a mention, but I think he deserved one yesterday, to be honest.
Would he be your man of the match then, mate? We'll just quickly do that. Just a one word off each of you. Would he be your man of the match yesterday? Because it was an odd one, wasn't it? I don't think anyone was outstanding, but would Zinchenko be your man of the match, Paul?
No. No. I can't really give anyone a man of the match.
One word. Who's your man of the match?
Sterling for scoring a penalty.
Sterling. Colin?
I thought Sterling had the best game he's had for a while. I thought he was one of our best performers on the day. Maybe Cancelo as well, but outside those two, no one else. No one was terrible. I'm not saying everyone's terrible, but it was one of those games where they set their stall out. There's no room between that 5 and that 3.
I'm going to go for Sterling as well. So, Stuart, is it a full house?
Yeah, full house for me, Sterling.
Right. Well, there we go. Manchester City 1, Wolves 0. We'll say 2 then. We'll take that. We'll take the 3 points and move on. We're quite happy. Not the greatest performance, guys. Right, guys, let's have a look at what are we on? Tuesday at 8 p.m. now. I'm not sure of the date. Is it the 14th on Tuesday, 14th of December? We've got Leeds United. Yeah, we owe them one from last season, don't we, guys? Colin, Leeds, it won't be... I think we've got Cancelo missing because he picked up a booking. So Cancelo can't play, I don't think. I've heard today from somebody. I don't know how right that is. So Mr. Walker will have to be taken back off the naughty step and put in the team, I think, because we've got not many options. So we've got Leeds. We're not going to see a defensive performance from Mr. Bielsa's Leeds, are we, Colin?
Well, they're no Wolves, are they? They've been leaking goals, and that might suit us. But of course, we've actually in the league we have beaten the cup. In the league, we've never beat them at the Etihad.
Not played them much.
Main road. But we've not played them much, no. But we've never beaten. So it's a bit of a bogey team for us, really, and especially after what they did to us last season. So yeah, it'd be going to be interesting. I've got to I love games against Leeds. I still remember the 70s games. They were just incredible games. It was a battle. Every game was a battle. It was, the atmosphere was great, whether it was Main Road or Ellen Road. I always loved those games, and I always look forward to seeing Leeds. And they will give us a tough game, but they'll be a lot more open than Wolves. So let's hope we can take advantage of it.
Yeah, Stu. I mean, I watched a bit. I've watched a bit. I've not watched full matches with Leeds, but they still have some. They still show a little bit of quality. Perhaps they don't score as many goals as you'd hope to, Stuart. But obviously, they can surprise us. Of course, they can. We know they can. But why do you think they've struggled, Stuart, this season? Do you have any particular reason? Is it just a second season bounce where you sort of have a great first season, then you struggle your second year in the Premiership? Is it as simple as that?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a case of you come up and nobody really knows what to expect from you, and then the second year teams have sort of figured out how you play, and it becomes a bit harder. And this season, like Colin says, they concede a lot of goals, but they played quite well against Chelsea yesterday, from what I saw, and they gave Chelsea a decent game. But then they've shipped 2 goals, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, a 3-2 defeat to Chelsea. I mean, when I was watching, when I was listening, and it was 2-2, and then it went to 3-2. Obviously, about 2 or 3 minutes before the end. Paul, are you expecting, obviously, a tough game against Leeds? It should be an entertaining game. At least we can stay awake for this one. What are you expecting we'll get from the Leeds game?
Well, hoping 3 points. It's going to be a tough night, I think. Leeds are going to be well up for it because they'll feel not injustice, if you like, but they were riled at the end of the game. You could see that. So I think it's going to be a tough game. It's 2 teams that want to play football. So hopefully it'll be high scoring. But having said that, now it'll probably be a 0-0 ball draw, won't it? So yeah, I hope we win, but it's going to be a tough night, I think.
Not many teams scored 2 at Stamford Bridge this season.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea are struggling a little bit, but I'll just stay with you, Paul, just to finish off with this Leeds one. I mean, I'm expecting. I sort of been not expecting many goals. I don't think City sort of firing as far as goals are concerned. But we can't score 2 or 3 against Leeds, or perhaps more, and perhaps they'll score 1 or 2 as well. I mean, what sort? Give us a score line. I'll stick you on the spot, Paul. What score are you going for?
Oh, 3-1. 3-1 for City.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I think there's going to be over 3 goals in the game. I think because the way they play, and I think Colin will go strong, won't we? I'd imagine we've got Newcastle on Sunday, but it's a few days after that, isn't it? Obviously, but so we'll play a strong team against Leeds. I'd imagine his strongest team he can play. Hopefully, KDB and Foden will may start the game. Now they've had the odd minutes, Cole. But are you happy with that sort of the strong team, and what score do you think?
Well, yeah, given what Leeds have done to us in the last couple of seasons, then I think we go strong, don't we? It's a daft thing, isn't it? You could even quibble and say he's starting KDB going strong these days, because we know what our first choice midfield doesn't include Kevin De Bruyne at the moment, which is like heresy, isn't it? People used to get burned at the stake for saying things like that, but we know our first choice midfield is Rodri, Bernardo, and Gundogan, and Kev's struggling at the moment. But yeah, let's start him. Let's start Foden. Maybe Mahrez gets a start as well, and we'll see what happens. But we will go strong. Yeah.
Prediction score?
I'm with Paul. I think 3-1 sounds likely if we can get the 3.
Hopefully, yeah. Stuart, I mean, obviously interesting about KDB there from Colin. If KDB starts against Leeds, fair enough. I've been a bit disappointed with Gundogan the last couple of games. I know he's got a bad back now, hasn't he? Another niggle's arisen for the City team. He seems to be getting a lot these days, but he sort of stepped up for us in the past when KDB hasn't done it. But if KDB starts, mate, are you confident of a victory against Leeds? And what score can you give us?
I think really what any team we put out, it should be strong enough. I mean, Leeds are a decent side, but we should be strong enough at home to beat teams, your Wolves and your Leeds and teams like that. And I'm with Colin, go strong, but I don't see De Bruyne starting. I don't think gave the ball away a lot yesterday when he came on. Now he's just coming back, and he has been injured. He's had COVID, so maybe he'll get some minutes again. But I don't think he'll get the full game. And I'm going to go a very nervy 2-1 win.
Yeah, well, I'll go 3-2. I'll go another like Chelsea and Leeds. I'll go for City 3, Leeds 2, and I'll hope for a 5-0. That's what I tend to do. I'll go for a tight one. Hope for a slaughter. I can't cope with these close games and 1-0 into the 93rd minute, something like that. It's just too much, guys. Right, let's talk about another rich club, another oil club. Is it? These guys. We're going to St James's Park at weekend. We're going to take on the mighty Newcastle. Not so mighty at the moment. I'll come to you first, Paul, with this one. They're not so great at the moment. Obviously, I'm going to have a special word with Colin in a minute about money, because he's very good at the money matters side of things, Colin. But Paul, as far as the team is concerned, we're playing Newcastle. I think we've then got a break after that again, so we can go strong definitely again, because I think it's 7 days before our next game. We get a big break, I think. So what do you think of Newcastle, mate? What do you think? What do you think that game's going to go like? It should be a good win for City.
You know what? You know what? Just the old City fan in me, you're just thinking like, this is, if we're going to drop points over this Christmas period, it's going to be against Newcastle, isn't it? You know, we could play Liverpool, United, Arsenal, all of them teams, and get points, and we'll trip up against Newcastle. It'd be typical us, wouldn't it? The new City head sort of think, you know what, we're going to absolutely destroy them. It's part of the oil money, isn't it? You know, so we're we'll turn them over. I can't see us not beating Newcastle, to be honest. I can't see beyond us beating them.
Stuart, yeah, Newcastle, obviously we'll all have our tea towels wrapped around our heads, anyone going up there, and obviously the Geordies will have theirs wrapped around their heads. January's a long way away, as I keep saying. Stuart, we'll get onto Colin in a minute about money, but January, obviously they've got another couple of games, 2 or 3 games before the money kicks in there. Stuart, do you expect him to, as I say, Paul's a little bit negative there. It's very unlike Paul. I'm not used to this, to be honest with you. But what do you think, Stuart? Should be 2 or 3 goal margin surely up there. They're not going to shock us, are they?
We should win, but I said the same thing as what Paul just said to my lad yesterday. I said I could see them beating us because they're struggling. They've got a new manager. They'll probably be one of them ones where we just turn up and they beat us 1-0 or something. But I think we should win. I can't wait to go. It's my favourite away day of the season. Nice train ride up there. All my mates are out. So, yeah, we're going to be a good day out.
Oh, good. Well, I'll say I was going to come back to you for the match report, but if you're out there all day, it's not a waste of time. You'll be absolutely gone by about kick-off, won't you? So we'll not worry too much about that. Right, Colin, Newcastle United, they're in a bit of trouble, mate. I think they've won 1 all season, have they? I think they've won 1. As they might have won a couple now as I'm recording this, but Newcastle. Struggling, Colin. I'll just come to you. Obviously, they've got a pot, haven't they? They've got a couple of 100 million sort of to spend. I mean, whether anyone will want to take the chance of going up there at the moment, it's a different proposition to us, mate, isn't it? Newcastle with their money, they're going to have to be very, very careful.
Yes, it is in one sense. I mean, people are talking about financial fair play, but that only UEFA's financial fair play only comes in when you qualify for Europe, and I don't think somehow they're going to be doing that this season. I mean, more Championship than Champions League, I think, this season. So in one sense, financial fair play doesn't really matter because it's not going to be an issue for them. Premier League have their own version, but it's so light, it may as well not exist because it allows losses of 105 million over a 3-year period. And actually, one of the problems at Newcastle is Mike Ashley's run them quite profitably. Because they haven't spent a great deal of money. So, yeah, they've got money to play with, and the owners have certainly got the money, we know that. The question is, who the hell's going to go there that will save them? Because, I mean, the priority this season, they're not worrying about finishing in the European places, it's about survival. And you could be very cynical and say, Eddie Howe is the manager who will get them back up from the Championship next season. But it's about survival. So, but, when we were taken over 2008, FFP didn't exist. We could go out, we could and did go out and spend a load of money on players like Yaya Toure, Barry, Milner, all those sorts of players, Tevez, because there was no penalty for doing so. We could do it. Newcastle can't do it. As I said, they could do it, but if they suddenly, by some chance, finished in the top 6 or 7, they may find themselves in a bit of trouble. But even if we take FFP into account, there's probably still at least 200, 250 million they can go out and spend this January, but January is never a good time to buy anyway. And I think they're going to be quite clever about who they buy, because they're not going to be getting the likes of Tevez and the Agueros that we got. They're going to have to look for players perhaps who are slightly below that level, who will keep them up. So those players, you're not going to be spending a fortune on them probably, although people will see Newcastle coming. All the agents and the clubs that they're approaching will see them coming and want to lighten their wallet as much as they can. But for them, it's important to buy players who will keep them up, and that's got to be their priority. Which is why I'm a bit worried about Eddie Howe as manager, because Newcastle problems are primarily defensive, and they don't score enough. Now Eddie Howe is not going to make them a better team defensively, because he didn't do it for Bournemouth, and he had lots of time to do that. He believes in open attacking football. Credit to him, he's a good manager, but Newcastle want a Mancini or someone like that who can tighten them up, even a Tony Pulis, who can tighten them up at the back, stop them leaking goals, get them the points they need to stay up. Yeah, the money's there. Yeah, they can probably spend 200, 250 million quid in January, but it's about getting the right players.
Yeah, I mean, as Colin was saying, at the end of the day, Paul, you need a money, mate, because obviously they haven't got the money yet. So stop being so negative about this game. I think it'll be, Paul, I think it'll be a nice 2-0 victory up there, nice comfortable 2-0. We'll be fine. So, Paul, what's your prediction? A 3-1 for Newcastle, is it?
No, I'm still feeling negative, but I've just changed my hat now, and I've put I'm going 4-1 for City.
Well, that'll do for me. Don't have to. You don't have to go any further. Okay, right. I'll take that. You don't have to carry on. Stuart, are you as optimistic as Paul?
3-0 City.
3-0 City, and Colin.
It's an interesting one. You look at our previous results there. We never had a big, apart from the FA Cup. We tend to get our results against them at home. So last season we had that mad 4-3 game at the end of the season. And the two games before that we drew and lost. I remember that one we drew, that Kevin De Bruyne won the goal. So I was sat in Heathrow Airport, I was just on my way back from the States, and watched that goal, and then my tooth fell out. You can always time certain things. So I think it's going to be a tighter game than we perhaps imagined. Maybe a 2-1 for me, but for us.
Well, I hope you won't mind if I say, Paul, all your teeth fall out on this one. That'll do for me. That'll be fine. I hope you don't mind me saying that, mate. Right, listen, we're gonna go into the future. We're gonna go into 2022. We're going 2022, 7th of January, 2022, 8 p.m. Friday night football, guys. Friday night football's back, and we're on ITV. Paul, I'll come to you, mate. We've got a little game against a team in League 2 at the moment, not pulling up too many trees, but Swindon Town. Any thoughts on this nice little FA Cup match?
I don't know anything about Swindon Town whatsoever. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, they've got an insurance company there. I think that's about it. I couldn't comment on what they're going to do or their team or the setup. It's just a good old-fashioned sort of like giant killing opportunity for a team. They could catch us, a tired part of the season, when the weather's not good and all the rest of it, and we've, had too much turkey. So they could catch us. They could catch us out. They could do a bit of giant killing. But I really can't see it.
No. Well, Stuart, I mean, obviously we're getting beat by Swindon Town there, Stuart, according to Paul, on the 7th of January. The last time they did beat us, I think, was back in Division 1 in November 1996, is the last time they actually beat City. Obviously, we've done a little bit better since. I think overall, against Swindon, we've played them 22 times. We've won 14. drawn 3 and lost 5, so they've not done too bad against us. Obviously, when they've been at a similar level to us. So, Stuart, any thoughts on Swindon? I think it's great that we're playing them away. I mean, would they rather play at the Etihad? I'm not too sure. These smaller, so-called smaller clubs. Stuart, any thoughts?
It's kind of what the FA Cup's all about, isn't it? A League Two team getting a Premier League side at home with the opportunity where they could cause an upset. I think the directors would rather have it at the Etihad because there's more money in it from that way. But, I mean, if they can beat us and then they can go and get someone else, they go on a little roll, can't they, at Swindon? And just so you know, Paul, Swindon's full of roundabouts. It's got about 300 roundabouts or something. That's it. That's all it's famous for. That and insurance companies.
That's the one.
Well, Colin, I'll come to you now. I mean, Stuart and Paul have said when they beat us, I think words to that effect, when they beat us. I mean, we're not going on an FA Cup run this year by the looks of it, based on our two gentlemen below us on Celebrity Squares today, Colin. What are your thoughts, Colin? Any memories?
I don't like to be a Jonah, but we've played them at Swindon in the FA Cup 3 times and we've never won. So, 1910, we lost 2-0. In 1930, we drew 1-1. I'm not sure what happened in the replay. Oh, yeah, we won the replay.
What, 1930? You were there in 1930? Well, I didn't think you were that old, Colin.
It was the mascot that day.
I get this enough from Mike and Ray on Ball from the Blue. I don't need it from you. We won the replay 10-1, but that may be an omen. And then the next time we played them was in the FA Cup in Swindon was 1964, in our kind of dark days, really, and we lost 2-1. But, of course, Swindon, actually, it's the home of Nationwide Building Society, because I've done some work for them and spent a few weeks down there for my sins, and it's a shame the game's a Friday night, isn't it? It's, you know, for the fans travelling down there. And I looked at the Swindon fan forum. I bet they were delighted with the draw, obviously. You know, I think one of them said they'll probably put the B team out, Sterling and Mahrez. You know, we might stand a chance. But, yeah, they would have loved to come to the Etihad. Whether they'd love to come there on Friday night, I don't know. But they would have, yeah, the FA Cup. The FA Cup's a weekend competition, isn't it? Shouldn't be playing Friday night, shouldn't be playing Monday night. It should be all Saturdays and Sundays. So yeah, it's a shame. It's good for them. Great, you know, they'll sell out easily. Apparently they've got an open end, so you bet anyone going, better hope it's not chucking it down or snowing or something. But yeah, it's one of those great FA Cup sides, isn't it? You know, Minnow against. Well, we're probably the best side in the world at the moment.
Minnow's against a soccer giant, I think we're called these days. Every other opposing fan calls us soccer giants, don't they? I mean, that's the normal thing they call us.
That's the beauty of the third round. That's the beauty of the third round of the FA Cup, isn't it? You get these. Yeah, who wants to see an all Premier League tie? You want to see those.
Yeah. I must admit, going forward for this, just a general thing, not to do with the game itself, but I think when you play a lower league team like this, I think that team should have the option of whether they want to play at home or away, to be honest. I know it sounds a bit iffy. So if they're drawn away, they have the option, well, you know, if they're drawn at home, do you want to play it at their place? I know sometimes they do because of crowd control and numbers of crowds, but just as a routine thing, I think it's great for like Swindon fans, you know, to actually get the benefit, and obviously loads would be able to travel, obviously, but of course as a home tie, it's great, isn't it? But obviously a lot of their own fans won't be able to see it, or people who pretend to be fans, which tends to happen with these games, doesn't it, guys? Let's be honest about it. But, a quick prediction. I think I'm not going to ask you for scores on this one, but Paul, despite your negativity, we're through to the fourth round, mate, aren't we?
Not negativity, just honesty. Because that's the thing. It's me feeling. Realism. It's the feeling I have. Yeah. We're going.
If Swindon do us, mate, all credit to them. You know, absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, if Wigan can do it, why not Swindon? Wigan can do it.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I just hope we don't get any. I hope we don't get any injuries and stuff like that. But I'll see a few twists and turns and maybe a bit of controversy. But I think we'll get through in the end.
Yeah, Stuart, we're no doubt knowing Pep, we're not going to play the kids, do we? There might be one or two in there, but he's going to literally play that team that we know he's going to play, where all these borderline players, obviously a lot of injuries could happen before then, but he'll probably go fairly strong, Stuart, won't he, again, even though it's Swindon Town?
I think so, yeah. I think we should win it, but it's like Colin was saying, it's the FA Cup, innit? It should be on a weekend. Everybody should be able to get to and from the grounds where they're going, and that's how we're not going. I spoke to my stepdad yesterday, and he said, "Do you fancy it?" I said, "I did do until they moved it to Friday. I'm not going on a Friday night."
Yeah, before the game yesterday, actually, I bumped into a mate of mine. He does all the away games, European, domestic, and he said, I don't think I'm going.
Well, I might have a chance of a ticket this time. Then it might get down to my points level, which is pretty rubbish. But, that's the only games I go to where no one wants to go. that's the problem. But hey, there you go. Right, guys, that finishes Swindon Town off. Hopefully, literally. Let's right quickly. We're going to go on New Year's resolutions and predictions now, guys. I just want a sort of minute or two of each one of these now before we shoot off. I'll start with you, Paul. Right, we're going to have a look at where do you think Manchester City will finish this interesting season, Paul? Are we going to finish it where, on top? We're going to finish it out of the top four. What do you think, mate?
Well, I think we'll be safe from relegation very soon. Next couple of games will be clear of relegation, so that's obviously the benchmark. And then after that, it's going to be tighter than it has been over the last few years. But I think City's got a great strength in depth, and I think that'll see us through to become champions again.
Stuart, what do you think? Is City gonna go back to back with this league title for this season?
I hope so. I think there's a few twists and turns in it yet. I don't think we'll be at the top of that. I don't think we'll stay top for the whole season. I think we'll finish there. I think with Liverpool losing, they lose Salah and Mane, don't they? I think for the African Cup of Nations, I think they'll struggle there for goals a bit more than what they have been doing. So I do think at the end of the season we'll be top of the league, but I think it'll be very close, and there's a few twists in it yet.
Colin, City top of the league at the end of the season. What do you think?
Well, I hope so. I know at the beginning of the season I predicted we come second to Chelsea, but Chelsea don't look quite that frightening at the moment. But it's a bit of a 2013-14 race, isn't it? Chelsea and Liverpool, which we had. We know what a great race that was, and it was twists and turns all the way. Obviously, Steven Gerrard's little slip up, and then Liverpool dropping points at Crystal Palace, and us beating us. And thinking they were home and dry, and that was a cracking season. I mean, nerve-wracking, but cracking. And if it turns out like that, I'm confident. Liverpool don't have the depth that we have. The Palomar I work with, one of my colleagues, is a big Liverpool fan, and he said that. He said, come January, but when the games start kicking in the Champions League, you've got the depth we haven't. So I'm reasonably confident we'll still be there at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm confident. I'm confident City can win the league. I think we need to go up a gear or two. I think we're sort of winning games with 3 or 4 players perhaps having outstanding games at the moment. I want City to, as a team, perform a little bit better overall. But I'm fairly confident with the fact we can go up a gear or two. We should be able to win that title. Right, next one, Paul. I'll come to you again. A New Year resolution, not for yourself, not for you, mate. No, a New Year's resolution for City. What have you had any thoughts on what you would hope as a New Year's resolution for Manchester City, our wonderful club?
I think mine and Stuart's might be very similar, to be honest, because I'm going for the revolution of sorting out the concourses at City, sorting the beer service out, sorting the food out, and getting us in and out of the stadium. That for me it improves the pitches, sorting itself out, because it off itself as well. That'd be good. So yeah, if Father Christmas is listening.
I'm not sure if it's Father Christmas. I'm not sure if it's Father Christmas does New Year resolution. I think it's Father New Year or something. I'm not too sure on that. But Stuart, mate, has he took your thunder away there with your?
Don't be telling that.
He has, mate, yeah, because I was going to say Speedy of our staff. I think it has got better over the years. I think he's been a bit harsh there with the food. If he's not had a pie for recently, the pies are quality at the minute at the ground. They're really nice.
I expect so for the price, mate. I'm taking a mortgage out for them.
Bowen's pies. Yeah, my stepdad actually buys them now from Bowen's. I think it's in Chorley or something. But he orders them online. He says they're the best pies you've ever had at the ground. So I get them. I get them at home now.
Yeah.
Colin, have you got a non-food? Colin, have you got a non-food or drink-related New Year's resolution?
Before I do, my Santa delivered a sled load of Bovril yesterday. Believe it or not, most of the hassle I've had on City Matters in the last few weeks is about the lack of Bovril. So that was sorted out yesterday. So thanks to Santa for delivering that. No football. Well, I've got three quickly. One is to the team, and that is bloody practice finishing. If you have to stay behind for 2 hours after a normal training session, just sticking the ball in the net from all sorts of angles, do it. So that's one to the team. One for Pep is stop buggering about in Champions League game selections, for goodness sake, because it's doing my head in. And I think it's doing everyone's head in. And for Chicky, Begavistev, Ferran Soriano, buy a striker, for goodness sake.
Well, that might come into the... Well, we might have another question in a minute on that, mate. But, I would agree with most of your sentiments, guys. I mean, my thing is... obviously, resolution is for to find out fairly soon whether Pep's coming or going. He must have an idea whether he's going to be there after next season. I know it's perhaps it's only less than 1.5 seasons soon, won't it? And obviously to sign Bernardo on, get Bernardo signed up to a brand new contract. That's my New Year's resolution for City. And finally, yes, January. So I'll come to you, Cole, first. We just obviously you did sort of mention it there. Who are we going to sign? Will City sign in January? Will we sign anyone? And if we do, who's your hope that we're going to sign, Colin?
Well, given some of the players we've signed in the January window, Wilfred Bonney being one, I think I remember. We don't like to do business in the January window. Laporte was a signing we did in the January window, but we needed a centre half. So why that should have come as a surprise to us, I'm not quite sure. We talked before about Cancelo being banned from the Leeds game because he's picked up 5 yellow cards. We only have one fullback basically at the club. We've got Carl Walker, so we'll play Walker at right back and Tinkler at left back, but we've got nothing behind it. We've got the 2 young lads, Wilson Brown, and I can't remember the name of the other one, but they're not quite ready yet, I don't think. So we might be looking at perhaps another fullback. But of course, the one everyone's looking at is Erling Haaland, isn't it? And I think it becomes a free agent in the summer, so we could potentially enter into a pre-contract agreement. But Mr. Raiola will want his wallet filling for that. And talking to the press, which I don't quite believe about him wanting something like 50 million quid to do the deal. I mean, let's face it, it's a difficult deal, isn't it? I mean, he's got to persuade him to go from Dortmund to a big club, and it will take some talking, to get him into a Champions League potential winning club. So, Real has earned his money if he can do that. But, I believe we've got good relations with him. So I'd settle for not signing anyone, but having a pre-contract agreement with Haaland.
Yeah, come to you, Stuart. Do you? What were your thoughts on if we could sign anyone, if anyone at all in January? What would your dream be if we could sign someone? And if not, you're not too worried.
Is Bonney available?
Hey,
is Wilfred Bonney available this January?
I believe he is actually. Yeah.
Get him in.
Free agent, get him in.
I'm his agent.
Fullback cover. Yeah.
We definitely need, like you're saying, a fullback. So I don't know who we could sign, though, not really. But I'd definitely go all out for Haaland, if we can. I don't know if he will. I think when he's saying his agent wants 50 mil, I think he was also talking about Haaland wanting £800,000 a week at one point, wasn't he? Not many places are going to be able to pay him that. So you can see what it is. I don't know. Like you say, it's always hard to get someone in January, especially for the right price. So if we don't sign anyone, I'm happy. I'm confident that we can do it with what we've got. Just get them practicing shooting.
I'll leave the last word as a well. I have to say I always do. I probably don't. With Paul.
It sounded good though, didn't it?
January transfer window, mate. Are we? Who do you want? And are we getting anyone? Or are we not bothering?
I I hate this debate we're having about we need a striker, we need a striker. Like Colin just said there, basically, if we can be able to finish better, the ones we've got, we don't need a striker. It's as simple as that. That's fact. If we're going to get a striker, and the way they're only going to shut people up is to get one, there's only one to get for me, and that's Haaland. He becomes free. He costs what he costs. We were paying 130 million for the guy at Tottenham. I forgot his name at the moment. He's a little player that scores a few goals for England. That's him. That's the buggy, yeah. So I think, Haaland, he becomes a free agent. Sign him up. Sign Bernardo at the same time. Spread the money out there. And I think that'll do us for next year, that.
Yeah, I think I'll touch upon that, guys, before we finish. I mean, obviously, just the biggest signing for us would, of course, be Bernardo on a longer-term contract. It'd be nice for Pep to re-sign another longer-term contract. I would hold my breath on both or either of those, to be honest with you. But I don't expect too much done in the January window, guys, to be honest with you. But it'll be interesting, always interesting supporting City and going forward. My thanks to the three guys today. My thanks to Colin, first time on, mate. Hope you enjoyed it.
I have enjoyed it, yes. Thank you very much for having me.
Smashing, no problem. Stuart, thank you very much, Stuart.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
And Paul, well, yeah, sort of. Yeah, cheers, mate. Anyway, thanks for turning up today, Paul.
Thanks for coming.
Mate, anyway. No, cheers. I'm only messing. Cheers, Paul, mate.
I know, mate. Don't you worry, pal.
Yeah, no worries.
Have a great week, safe week, guys.
Everyone viewing, and I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, what we've done, and hopefully we'll see you all again back on In Good Company next week. Yeah, well, should be next week or whenever, but keep your eyes out for it anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.